I'm using the red in here because red is the complement of green. So that red and green, they play off of each other.
Okay.
They're very complementary. If I were doing a desert scene, if I were doing an ocean scene, I would probably use a gold or an orange because those also they play off of each other. They complement one another.
Okay.
While I'm doing this, I'm going to explain to you why I chose this photograph and what I like about it. I like the armatures in it. Everybody would know what armatures are? Raise your hand if you do. Okay. The armatures are the design in landscape. You can have an L shape. You can have what's called a fulcrum, some balance here, balance here. You can have an S curve, and you can have diagonals. There's many, many, many of them, and I won't go through more than that. What I love about this painting are the diagonals and the S shape of the river. So I've got this beautiful diagonal here. Can you see my?
Yes.
Raise this a little bit. There's the I love this diagonal here. It starts almost 3/4 of the way up the canvas. And it goes all the way down to the top of the river there. And I'm just going to drop this tree in there, up here. Just blocks of color, block of lines. Trees here. There is a bush over here, or a tree. I don't remember what it was. And then one over here. Okay, so that's our basic drawing. So I'd like you to go ahead and go on your canvas and get this very simple block drawing in. I'm going to start refining mine while you're working on yours. Okay, that's as much as I'm going to do. Maybe not. Okay. And just a reminder as to why I use the ultramarine blue, it's because it dries very quickly. If I decided to use the red, like I did with the red background, or if I had painted this red background with oil as opposed to acrylic, it would have taken days for it to dry. It takes red a long time, just like greens, to dry. So I always, just a reminder of why I do that. So that's not going to take, and you can take it and just fan it. Okay, so I can erase the charcoal now. How's everybody doing?
Good. Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Any questions?
Doing good.
Okay. If you would like me to have a look at it, pick it up and hold it up in front of your station. Oh, nice. Nice, Lori. Yes, good, Sue O'Brien. Josephine, could you hold yours back a little bit and up? There we go. And a little bit closer to me. All right. Okay. Okay. Let's see. The river in the back there. Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good. You can adjust it when we start painting it in. Beautiful, Bella. Okay, Penny, can you hold it up just a little?
Too much detail.
Pardon me?
Too much detail.
Yes, you could take some of the lines out, but just paint over them. Try not to make them a part of this block in.
Right.
All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is our block in. Everybody remember what that's all about. When we start to do a painting like this, we block in where we want all of our color, our values in color to be. So we start with the darkest dark, which is the dark green hills, isn't it? in this you can see, here, let me put this up a little bit. You can see that when you squint your eyes and look at this, you see there are 4 values that I used in the painting. Bring it over. So you can see the darkest dark here in the hills, and then you can see the dark in some of the trees, the dark bank along the river. All right, and then there's a few darks in the trees along here. So we're gonna drop that in first in our darkest greens. So what I want you to do is mix up a beautiful puddle of dark green. Everybody remember how we put that together? Let me just remind you that what I do is I use the ultramarine blue and the cad yellow light, which is a cool yellow. And I come up with the green. And then to gray it down, to tone it down a little bit, I put a tiny bit of orange in it. This bright orange. Not the lighter one, but the bright one. Use whatever orange and colors you have. Like I said, we're all at home, so let's use what we have. Any questions on that?
No, thank you.
Now I'm going to mix up that beautiful dark green. Get a good puddle of it because you're going to mix the dark green, and then you're going to mix a medium green and a light green from that puddle of dark green. All right, so mix up 3 greens. Have a decent amount of paint, so you don't have to go back in and start mixing color when you're painting. I always find when I have to go back and put paint out on my my palette and start mixing again, I'm not creating anymore in a sense. I am working. What we want to do is keep that flow of creativity, the flow of intuitiveness, and we can do that if we have all of our materials in front of us and not have to run over and get things and remix paint. So mix up a good pile of it. So a lot of times I'm going to be giving you a lot of, because you've all been with me before, I'm going to be giving you a lot of tips on the way I paint. Not just the way that I've taught you in class, but I'm going to show you other little things that I do that we probably haven't done in class.
Good.
One of them is I always have more than one palette out. I can't possibly just paint with this palette. I just, because I like being all over the place, I like a lot of room, so I have another palette. And then beside that, I will have a really clean palette. So I have lots of choices, so I don't have to scrape paint away. I can keep what I've got. You can see on this palette where I mixed up some grays. Can you all see that?
Yeah.
These grays down here.
Yeah.
They're mixed from a beautiful black that I made. And I used them in this painting to tone some things down when I didn't want to use the opposite color. Sometimes when we use the opposite color, it makes it a little too bright for me. I like to really maybe mute it a little more with something other than the mud, which is key in Impressionist painting. It's what a lot of the Impressionists use instead of using black and white to gray things out or the opposite color. They would use something like this that would not make, when it mix it in a light color, it would tone it down, but it wouldn't make it chalky. If you mix pure white into a color to make it lighter, it can often make it very chalky, and that's a very unpleasant look in some painting. Some paintings it's fine, maybe in a desert painting where you really want to mute things out or you want it to look chalky. But in Impressionist painting, they liked full color. They really like to jazz it up, as it were. Another thing I do when I'm mixing this green is I put a big pile of the blue out, and then I put a pile of the cadmium yellow light beside it. I don't mix it all in right away. It's like you don't put too much salt in the stew. You don't put a whole tablespoon of salt in the stew. You wait and see how it tastes. You want to wait and see how it looks before you go any further. Just a reminder, I know you all know that, but sometimes if we haven't painted for a while, we forget those little things.
Right.
Now I can already see with this dark green that I want to warm it up a little bit. I want to take the edge off of it, and I'm going to use orange to do that. I'm going to drop in some orange. About like so, not too much. And I'm doing it in the original pile because this original pile is going to determine how the medium and the light green are going to look. So if your paint gets too light, just add some more of the ultramarine blue. And I always like to leave some of that red coming through if I can. I don't always accomplish it, but it's just so beautiful when it does. So this painting basically, as I mentioned earlier, has 4 values. This mountain back here is one of the darkest. So the reason we always put the darks in first, even in acrylic as well, is that if you try to, especially in oil, if you make the darkest value too light, you've got to wait till it either scrape it off or wait till it dries in order to get it at that dark again. You don't want to do the lightest colors first necessarily. If they're side by side, it doesn't matter, but you want to keep that dark area dark so you can go back on it with lighter colors. If you put the light color on, you try to go in with dark color, it just turns chalky. And another thing that helps us keep loose in Impressionist painting is holding the brush like a brush and not like a pencil.
Thank you.
We hold it like a pencil and we tend to get too much detail. It's just natural. You're starting to draw instead of paint. This keeps you from doing that. All right, now I'm going to do the other parts of the other part of the hills here. I'm going to get this dark up here, and I'm going to make those part of the hills a value lighter, but not too well. Let me get there first. You know what I'm talking about.
So you're doing it dark now, right?
Yes, I'm doing the darkest dark right now. I'm squinting my eyes and I'm looking at the image.
Yeah.
Up here. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can see when you look from a distance at my image, I just see those darkest darks, and that's all I'm laying in right now. It's value number 1. Charlie, could you hold your painting up again? Jolie would like to see it.
Can't say bad things.
I don't want to see the wolf con in you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow, it's so big.
my
Oh
God.
my God.
Yeah.
He's done.
Wow.